Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's video is on Tangerine Dream and my music with them. Boy, it's hot out today. Even though it's only like 80, it's really humid here in Pennsylvania. Still getting used to the humidity. That's one thing that sucks about the East Coast. I'm originally from LA, and if it's 100 degrees, I can handle that 100 degrees. If it's 85 out here and it's humid, man, it's like there was one day last week where we had that leftover of that tropical storm that came up through Florida. I think it was Betty or Benny or something like that. And humidity was 99% during the night. It was like the windows were sweating. But I shouldn't complain because I do like the weather over here overall. That's one thing nice thing about the East Coast is you actually have seasons. In LA, there's like 2 weeks out of the year where you wear pants, and it's really hot to like dress up. Like here, I'm just kind of a t-shirt and shorts guy. I don't dress up a lot. I used to wear suits, and that was miserable out here. It's corporate life, wearing suits, not fun. I like to dress up and look nice, but I also like to be really comfortable. And if I don't plan to see anybody on the day, you're looking at it. I might do my hair occasionally, but I do take 2 showers a day. I will preface that. It's so. I read online this Indian guy. He was like a sheikh or something like that, and he says if you take a cold shower before you go to sleep at night, you'll feel much more relaxed and be able to unwind a lot better. I know a lot of people take showers at night after a long day, and generally they take hot showers or lukewarm showers, but hot showers wake me up. Cool showers just refresh me, and then I just go lay on my bed with the fan on, half naked or in my underwear, just enjoying feeling cool before I get into bed. It's just a nice feeling of being refreshed. So if you ever try it, if you don't sleep well, try to take a cool shower instead of a lukewarm shower before you go to bed, and see if that helps you sleep. That's my tip for the day. So yeah, getting into Tangerine Dream. Of course, I first heard them, and I didn't know it was them, of course, when I watched Risky Business, which was an R-rated movie, I think, for 1983 or so, when I was 7 or 8, and I remember a couple years later, like I think it was Top Gun, that love scene in Top Gun, and that was, to me, for a 9-year-old, that was like it's like X-rated or something like that. So, I mean, Risky Business when I was like 7 years old was probably R-rated for a good reason back then, but now it's just a kissing scene. I don't even think that would be PG anymore these days. But yeah, so the scene on the train with Tom Cruise and Rebecca De Mornay was made is a great scene because of that song. I think it was called "Love on a Train" by Tangerine Dream, and it's just probably one of their most memorable songs, and most, I guess, not really popular, but it's just well known because it was in that movie. But it's also known because it's just a great song. So that's when I first heard them. I didn't know till years later that was them. Probably sometime in the 90s. I didn't really start buying Tangerine Dream stuff till the mid 90s. Or I take that back, a little early 90s. I had some Klaus Schulze, a few Klaus Schulze CDs or records, excuse me, and also on compilations and things like that. When you started buying ambient compilations in the 90s, you'd start to see names pull up that were starting to be recognizable for me. And so I kind of put 2 and 2 together and started digging a little deeper. I remember, if you guys know the ambient landscapes, I think there was 2 versions of that. There was 2 episodes of that, or 2 compilations of that. It was like 92, 93, I think it was on Astroworks Records. But that had Brian Eno on it, that had Klaus Schulze on it, that had David Allen from Gong, and Geez, what else? A clock DVA. No, I'm sorry, not clock DVA. That was on a later compilation. Who else? Might have Michael Stearns on it. Maybe not. I'm trying to remember that compilation. I have it over there, but it's there was a lot of good artists on that compilation, and I don't listen to it too much anymore. In fact, I've probably haven't heard it in 25 years, maybe even close to 30, because it was generally a little bit more. It's a good CD for kind of an introductory ambient listener, but I quickly gravitated to that away from that because it was kind of older, mostly older stuff, but it was a good reference CD, and but I could already tell that I was kind of like more into the chill out scene in ambient techno and the future of ambient than necessarily the past. I could tell from listening to it that it was kind of from the past. It probably did have a Future Sound of London track on there from their side project, but if I remember correctly, I thought I had Liquid Insects on it, which still is a great track. That was actually a recent track on that compilation, but most of the tracks were older. I think the Klaus Schultz track was Winfried 1883, which I think might be on his Pinnacles record. But yeah, again, like I've mentioned in other videos, once I moved to Washington D.C. and I didn't have some proper record stores that had newer music, I was kind of getting into a lot older music and filling out my background and just wanted to get experienced on it and also learn about what came before, find the best stuff I could, and have that balance. And that was super important. I think it's super important to have a foundation of older music and newer music and learning at the same time. Sometimes if you look too far ahead and you're buying music and you lose a little bit of touch with, I wouldn't say with reality or anything like that, but you lose touch with, you might get a little carried away. I think when you start buying a lot of new stuff, you get a little carried away with the direction and you can't let it sink in as much to tell if it's worth keeping or you know how much you really like it. And that's why I take a lot of time with music because you know, I like to really listen to it a few times, spend a week or two with it before I catalog it away. And again, I have a lot of rainy day music which I haven't listened to yet, and but that's because I take so much time with a new to me record, or I'm revisiting a record and getting to know it better. Today I listened to 5 Brian Eno CDs from. Just a recap from the Brian Eno video I did, the 4 least ones that I remember, and then I did the Fractal Zoom again with all the Moby remixes. I did a review on that on Discogs today, and then I also reviewed the other 3 or 4. I think I reviewed all 4 Brian Eno CDs on Discogs and gave my opinion. It was his Reflections CD from 2017. I reviewed. The one with Fripp from 2004, the one with the blue CD, and then I reviewed NerveNet. So I guess I did 3. I thought I did 4. Yeah, I thought I did 4. I can't see the other one. I'm sorry. Anyways, so I reviewed them on Discogs and really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, the NerveNet one wasn't as good as I remembered. And that was kind of a disappointment, but Reflections was better than I thought, and I was pleasantly impressed by the Fripp again, which I hadn't heard yet, which was from 2004. I don't even know when I got that. I didn't even know I had that CD. I must have got that in some collection and just kind of filed it and forgot about it. Man, I'm curious to know which other. I thought I reviewed 5. No, I didn't. Okay, I did 4 today. The 3 with the EP, the Fractal Zoom. But wow, the Fractal Zoom was amazing. I haven't heard that in so long, and all those Moby remixes were fantastic. I think I gave NerveNet. I'll have to go over my review systems, but my review ratings sometime. But I don't. I'll probably get into that and do that when I'm doing individual albums when I get to that point, and so you can kind of get an idea of how I do my ratings. But I rated NerveNet a 56 out of 100, which seems horrible, but anything over a 6 I'll get if I'm a hardcore collector of that artist. Unfortunately, that fell just below it, but it's not horrible. There's two great songs on it, but Fractal Zoom and the choke, the broil and the choke. Yeah, that song. Those two songs are really good, but those are actually on the Fractal CD. So if I didn't have the Nerve Net, I wouldn't even got it, and that's why I put it in the review. But Reflections, I was really pleased with. I think I gave that a 85 or 86 out of 100. I was really pleasantly surprised. It's just one track, 54 minutes. It was amazing. It was really nice for what it is. I gave it a little, not a higher score than that, but relative to what it is compared to other stuff, it's a nice score. 86 is a really great score. It's really hard to get in the nines, that's for sure. And then I gave the blue one, the one with Fripp, I think I gave it I think it was a 74 out of 100. I generally don't review. I don't generally give EPs a score or mini albums or trackers generally, especially 4 trackers or 3 trackers or 2 trackers, because I could really like one song and then not like other one, and if I give a 9 because of that one track, then it doesn't seem right. So I really haven't thought about it like that, but how to rate a single, but in an album, you can kind of get a feel of it as a whole, where an EP is like, you can have 2 great tracks and 2 garbage tracks, and how do you rate that? If you love one track and you would give it a 10, how do you give the whole EP a high score if you don't like half of it? So that's a little tougher. I haven't really figured out how the best way to do that. But yeah, going back to Tangerine Dream, so, in 2003, 2004, there was a local record store I've mentioned a few times, Orpheus Records, where I was able to find a lot of good older music, and I was purchasing a lot there and finding a lot of good Tangerine Dream. In fact, probably 80% of my records are from Orpheus Records, and I bought them in 04, 05, 06, and probably my CDs are from a little bit later, just to kind of fill in some gaps and get some duplicates and find some less expensive ones, because again, I do like ambient on CD. So kind of going into their music, this is actually the Alpha Centauri, one of their early ones. This is actually I don't have it on the front. I should put it on the front so that at least I can see it. So here it is, the picture disc of Alpha Centauri. I don't necessarily like this. I'm not huge on the period of the prog rock stuff. I think this is like 69, 70, or 71. I didn't really start liking Tangerine Dream until about 73, when they started to get into almost their virgin years. Around that time. So around here, they're still a little bit rough for me, a little bit avant-garde, but doesn't really go anywhere. Maybe a little bit meandering, but not meandering in a good way. I think this is like the 2015 reissue or something like that. I think it has the other copy in here. Why did I get this if I don't like this period? Sometimes you just buy stuff. Actually, yeah, this is 1971. Sometimes you just buy stuff because, you run out of, you're hoping you're like something on there. I tend to blindly buy a lot of stuff because, for artists that I know. I don't mind blindly buying some stuff and taking some chance on some stuff. Obviously, it's a very cool picture disc. I'm not a huge picture disc person, but it is cool. But sometimes you're a completist and you want to buy, certain things where you want to, maybe this will grow on me. I definitely don't hate it or dislike it. It's just not, I don't consider it the best period of Tangerine Dream. You can see here Edgar Froese is part of course, Edgar Froese and Klaus Schultz are the main 2 guys. And there's a lot of interspersed people in between, like Conrad Schnitzel's on this one, who I followed through his 70s and early 80s work. I've quite a few CDs of him. Peter Baumann, Michael Honing. I think there's a couple other ones it says in here. Chris Frank. Yeah, that's all this kind of says in this one. But yeah, there was, besides the two main members, there was quite a few that were kind of coming and going, and some actually came back. You know, so moving into the period that I do like, here's a copy of a Tim, which I think is 72 or 73. I think this is an 87 reissue of it, an older reissue of it. So here I start to get into their what I like about them. They're a little bit longer tracks, a little more floaty tracks, right? More sequencing going on, less sound manipulating, and more rhythm composing, if that makes sense, right? And then you kind of get into their, some of their best years. So you have Rubicon right over here, which I also have the CD here, Rubicon. Only 2 tracks on here, and that's kind of becomes something that they're kind of wouldn't necessarily known for, but they kind of set the tempo, set the example with a lot of ambient artists and doing really long tracks on each side. Basically, it's just Rubicon, then the Rubicon Part 2, and one side for each. And on the CD here, these are, I have a couple of these I'll show. These are the original CDs when they first came on CD from Virgin, I think around 86 or 85, somewhere around there. So these are a little bit older CDs. I do like, I'm kind of torn on the period. I don't necessarily always like remastered things. I do like the spaciousness, and I like the ability to turn up things and play it louder and not feel like I'm inundated with the sound and the loudness volume of things. I know when I record CDs, I generally record CDs about 3 to 5 dBs low because it's kind of subliminal. It's kind of I think a trick I use when I do mix CDs. If you play something if you mix something too loud, or you record something too loud, what do you do when you hear it, right? When somebody else hears it, right? What do? They turn it down, right? They're like, oh, it's too loud. Well, I like to actually record things low so it makes people want to turn it up. Like, what is that? Oh, and then they listen to it more intently just for a little bit, and then they kind of, so I generally like to keep things a little low because also it gives them the opportunity to EQ it, and, I don't mind if it brings up a little bit of floor noise or even background noise or anything like that. I don't mind if it does that. I think it adds character to it, especially in ambient music. So that's kind of a engineering trick I do. For recording and things like that. But yeah, Rubicon is considered probably one of their all-time top 3. The Virgin years are my favorite of Tangerine Dream, and that's basically 74 to 83. That period is my favorite for Tangerine Dream. I believe this is. A lot of their albums I have, and a lot of those albums from those days are gatefold. It's funny in the industry, probably around like 72 to 75, there's more gatefolds than it probably. Especially in prog rock and other genres, more jazz and stuff like that, but even rock music to an extent too. I've never seen more gatefolds than those years. Like the artists got really, like Yes and a lot of those bands and stuff like that. They got really creative when it came to exploring and using the whole album and wanting to make their release special. It's a really kind of an interesting thing. The especially the graphics and the psychedelic kind of artwork and things like that. A lot of the artists got really creative, and I think it really, I think for the first time in music history, in maybe 70 to 74 or so, people started to make art, and then people used to buy it based on the art. And so when you go back and look a lot of those pieces, and you're like, oh, this is a really cool cover, it's probably going to sound good. And sometimes, excuse me, oh, indigestion from coffee. But it's great artwork, but the artwork, the music is not as good as you would have hoped. maybe at the end of this video I'll grab a couple and just kind of show you some cool artwork. But the music isn't that great. But thankfully, it's not that way with Tangerine Dream. But it's interesting. I don't know if anybody noticed that with the gatefolds, everybody was doing gatefolds, and you're just like the band Chicago. You're like, no, we don't need this huge gatefold. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but I don't like Chicago, and I'm not a big fan of horn sections. I think there's never been a real group I've liked that had a horn section in it. Maybe Oingo Boingo was the only one. So yeah, it's just not a big fan of like a horn section, and I appreciate Chicago as they're good. There's some good songs and stuff like that. Peter Cetera solo stuff is kind of poppy, whatever. But I don't really like Chicago. But there's some artwork in their stuff. They have this one poster and it's probably almost as big as like a whole wall. It kind of like folds into like 24 squares, the size of the record, and goes into the record. It's like for one of the box sets or something like that. And I was just like, who is going to put this on the wall? Like a huge poster of Chicago. I was like, oh, corny. Anyways, Fedra. This is 1974, I believe, or 75. Probably 74. Another one's considered probably one of their top 3, at least top 5, along with Rubicon. A lot of people do think it might be the best one. Best Tangerine Dream of all time. I definitely have to put it in my top 5. I don't know about top 3, but it's close. I almost think of like Fedra, Rubicon, and Stratosphere. I almost think of them as one album in a strange way, because I bought them all on the same day. And so I listened to them all that day, and for some reason they all kind of blend together, and I guess it's because of that. And all 3 are very close in my top 3, if not top 5. So, they blend together in a strange way. But this period of Tangerine Dream is just amazing. I also have quite a bit of solo work. Not quite a bit, but there's some solo work interspersed with some of these. So here's Klaus Schultz Black Dance from 1975. I definitely need to get I think One Free to 1883 is actually from the album after this. I think Time Room, which is a really cool cover as well. But Black Dance, really cool. Very good solo album. The 70s solo stuff for Klaus Schultz and Edgar Froese are so important. If you guys are Tangerine Dreams and Dream fans, and you aren't getting the Klaus Schultz and Edgar Froese albums, and even Michael Honing and some of the other producers that work with them, if you guys aren't getting that, you're not getting even half the great music that these guys made. Don't just buy Tangerine Dream. There's a lot of Tangerine Dream stuff to have. I certainly need to get into the new Tangerine Dream, the new grouping. I need to definitely check them out. But Black Dance is amazing. Only 3 songs on here. Voices of Sin is great. I really like that one. Ways of Changes. Excellent album. Here's another one of solo one of Klaus Schultz at the time. This one's 75 or 76. 76, yeah. I forgot to say that. Fedra's I showed Fedra, that was right. This one's another gatefold, so Klaus Schultz, Moon Dawn. Only 2 tracks, Floating and Mind Phase. Some great artwork in here. The Big Moog, ARP 2600, ARP Odyssey. Sequencer Synthorama 312. Some of the instruments he plays, says on the back here. Very cool. This is more like an improv live album, if I'm not mistaken. It says recorded in 76, if I'm not mistaken. This was more of a... So they really started to get into, wouldn't say experimental, but just hit record and play and see what comes out and still be able to release it. That's what they sound like. I don't know how much of some of these albums they really went back and redid, or I certainly don't think they overdubbed them, but did they play them again? A lot of these seems like improvisations, and I wouldn't doubt it if Moon Dawn is an improvisation. God, I can't speak today. Improvisation. Can't talk today. I wouldn't be surprised if it is at all. But Moon Dawn, awesome album. This recording opened the door I wanted to go through since years, the rock music. Now it's done and I can go on to open another door. So you can see he's just saying, like, we did the prog rock thing. Let's move on. And that's why I like the 74, 75 and on here. I mean, he's kind of saying it himself, like, we've done the prog rock thing. It's time to move on. Here's 1976's year I was born. Stratosphere. Original gatefold as well. Stratosphere is really floaty. Really kind of gets into, I mean, it goes with the title, right? Stratosphere. It's this one has a couple songs on each side, if I'm not mistaken. There's Stratosphere and The Big Sleep, In Search of Hades. And then on the other side is, 2 songs as well. So, but these are floaty long songs for the most part. At least 2 of the 4 anyway on this one. But again, all 3 of these really strong albums right inside of my top 5, right in top 5. I'd have to say, I think of the 3, maybe Fedric would go in the top 3. It's really close. And that's of the Tangerine Dreams. I'm not really including the solo albums. Because if I had to put a solo list together as well and combine them, Aqua would definitely be in the top 5 and probably top 3. This is actually the promotional copy, as you can see the sticker on it. Here's the inside. Gotta love the old artwork of the records in those days. Just amazing record. It starts off really aggressive with the first song and then just really starts floating from there. One where you have to get it on CD as well. It's just one of those buys where multiple copies is okay. Unfortunately, some of these 2 promotions, the last 2 I showed, have the dreaded nick in them, which retailers used to do when either, I guess, was on sale or on promotion or something. They would kind of click that. Some people actually collect them, which I find funny. Excuse me. It seems like there's always people who collect something, right? I know there's some people who collect, just promos and don't even collect the regular artwork. They just want the white labels. So there's a lot to be collecting to be had too. When it comes to artwork, some people just get original copies, don't even buy reissues. I'm kind of in the middle when it comes to that. I don't mind buying an original copy. A reissue at all. Here's Edgar Froze's Ages. This one's overlooked a lot because Aqua is so great. The original gatefold. This is actually a two record one here, and you get a lot of music for this. On this particular copy. Tropic of Capricorn's really good. Icarus is really good. Era of the Slaves. 1978 this came out. I thought it was 77. But this one's an overlooked one. People always mention Aqua when it comes to Edgar Froze, and then maybe Pinnacles, and then another one I have coming up. They always kind of seem to mention those before they mention Ages, but Ages is a good one. You just can't. There's nothing bad in from 72 to 80, 73 to 80. All of it is great. You're not going to go wrong with any of it. Here's a Ricochet. I think this is 78 or 79. Some of these aren't fully in order from years, but I think this is 78, I believe, or 79 or something like that. But original copy. When you see the sticker over there, don't mind that. I'm bad about taking off stickers, and this is probably from another record. I'm pretty sure that's not what I paid for this particular record. It says $5. I'm sure that's from another one. I'll probably pay like 10 or 15 for it. And maybe, I mean, I'm guessing probably closer to 10, but I know because the sticker above it is actually the sticker from Morpheus, and based on the color of this, like this one's red, it would be like green was $5, red was $10, yellow was $20, and they used to code them like that. They used to not do stickers. So this, don't be with all my plastic sleeves. I have, and I don't know if I said it before, I have about, I don't know, maybe 10 to 11,000 records, and about 95% of them I have on plastic sleeves. Probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I started buying like 50 things of records, like 150 count of records, like every week, and I would start filling and doing my whole collection. It certainly added a lot of weight to my collection having these plastic sleeves, but these are really nice. But I did want to protect the sleeves, and I would really encourage you guys to do the same if you guys don't. Unfortunately, this one has a nick as well on here. But you know, the great thing about these, if you're, I mean, multiple reasons. A lot of times when I take out a record, sometimes I forget to, but some of these I was trying to show you the back and the front, so they're actually in here. But I actually a lot of times actually like to take out and then put them in the back. We'll see how like that, so the cover is flatter, and that leaves a it's a little bit less stress on the spine, and then also if you just need it, you just take out this, and you don't even have to put stress on the sides of it. So it serves dual purpose. Plus, it's easier to access and put back. You know how frustrating it is when you put back in a record and it's not going in right. So especially when you DJ a lot, sometimes the sleeve isn't the original sleeve, and then it won't go in the original record. You know how that goes. So it's nice to be able to put these in there. And then the other thing too is, if you have like a couple loose records by the same artist, these fit up to like 4 records. So they're a little loose with one record. It does thicken it up a little bit if you kind of put it in the back too. That's also another nice thing. Even though you figure it'd be the same size, it does kind of like feel a little bit more substantial. Maybe that's just my mind, but yeah, it allows you to put, like, you know, if you mix 2 records that sound really good together, you put them together as a team, or you know, I have like 3 records or two or 3 records of some artists where I don't have anything else by them, and they're kind of just 12 inches without covers. I just kind of put them in there together, so they're together with each other. So there's a lot of good reasons to have these plastics, not just only to protect your sleeves, but also to categorize, take care of the covers more, easier to find, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. But it gives you a good opportunity to kind of collect some loose records. If you have a lot of promos, then you can kind of put them in the sleeves, and it beats having them just kind of lay in between other records that have sleeves. But Ricochet is just another strong album. I mean, just stringing them together like nothing. Here's Mirage, Claude Schultz solo one. Looks like I got this for $12. It says VG Plus on it. There's a sticker on here. I don't know if that was when I got it, but there's the man there. Mirage is kind of an overlooked album as well, you know, considering the albums before. Let's see here. Here's now it starts to kind of get into what I consider my favorite parts of Tangerine Dream, which really is the 78 to like 83 period specifically. The 74 through 77, if I had to compare that to the 78 above, this one's they're still using the older equipment, but they're a little bit more sequencer heavy. They're a little bit more futuristic. I think where they're kind of getting away from the psychedelic and kind of going more towards the spacey. And they seem a little bit more focused. I wouldn't say more song directional, but they seem not so. They're still meandering in a way, but there's some really good sequencer melodies. I mean, sequencer rhythms, and I really like that period. And it kind of culminates with coming out with my favorite album. So Cyclones is really strong. Looks like they did a punch hole in the top here. Unfortunate. Original gatefold of the band there. That's funny. Over here he's with a baby. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Is that what it is? Cyclone's excellent. Cyclone's a really good one. I really like the artwork on it too. It's very 70s-ish, isn't it? Kind of almost looks like one of those van murals on the side of a van. Remember when everybody had the vans with the I mean, now I'm really dating myself, but you kind of all see like those Starsky and Hutch vans type of, what was that, 8 is Enough, or Willie Ames, the 70s, a lot of those 70s stars, those 70s movies kind of had Charlie's Angels, or some of those vans that have the little bubble window, and they have some like crazy mural on it. That kind of looks like that. Very cool. So moving on, definitely one of my top 5. Again, I got quite a few in my top 5 already. It's probably like 3 or 4. But I'd really have to narrow it down. But I really like Force Majeure. Force Majeure is a great one. The title track is really great. I really like Cloudburst Flight. Yeah, that's 2 of the 3 songs right there. Just really strong. Really love the artwork too. Here's a CD of it as well. Cloudburst Flight, what a cool song. Yeah. Kind of, and then again, like I said, the kind of by 78, started getting away from the gatefolds. As soon as I say that, here's a gatefold. But this one's this is a live album, so maybe they wanted to expand upon it a little bit. And this one's a double album, so basically, 1 track per side, which is great. This is a fantastic live album. I think I got a chance to revisit this a few weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. I have it on CD also, but just a really excellent album. You can hear the crowd talking in the background and cheering, and they were cheering it all excited, like it was like as if they were some kind of rock band or something. But they were all excited in the background. It was very cool. I think this might have been recorded in California. I don't know if this was this North American tour, because this looks very much like Greek theater right here, or Hollywood Bowl. Oh, those trees look a little big for Hollywood Bowl, but that might be they certainly got a lot of pictures from, here's Fats Domino's board of Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's obviously Sunset Boulevard there, so there'd be a good chance that this picture might, I don't know, it's hard to say what these pictures are from. Yeah, but it says special thanks for the visual support to Laserium in Los Angeles. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Hollywood Bowl on the front, but I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can tell me. Edgar Froese, Macula Transfer. Cool artwork. I think one of the last, probably one of the almost last solo records I have of his. Here's a Tangram, which I have the New Zealand version as well. And also here's the CD Tangram. That's Logos. Here's Tangram. Different color on the CD. Tangram's really strong. I like Tangram a lot. Man, I keep saying I'll put these in the top 5, but man, Tangram's pushing top 5 easily. I really like Tangram. I'll have to come up with the top 5 records maybe by the end of the video. I don't know. Here's Klaus Schultz Transfer. I think this is 1980 or so, 81. So here's kind of this is kind of the, you can see them in the studio there. Pretty polished studio. Still got some, obviously they're still doing tape recorders here, and they still got a pretty big board around here of patch cords and a big studio, but they're kind of getting comfortable, a little smaller into the studio, not so big and spacious like they used to record. So as equipment's getting a little bit smaller, their sound is getting less analog as well, and that's just kind of the par for the course in those days. But considering Tangerine Dream still, for the most part, did a good job of keeping with the better sounding analog stuff and not fully going over to digital. In some respects, at least they held on a little bit longer, I'd say that. Transfer. Here's probably my favorite album. It definitely has probably 2 of my favorite 5 songs on here. It's just Q Mission and Network 23 and the track Exit. So probably, if not 3 of top 10, probably at least 2, if not 3 in the top 5 are from this album. I love this sound of this record. This is them. This is so underrated, I think. I did a review on this on Discogs like 15 years ago, and I think this album is really gaining a lot of steam. I really like it. It's here's another copy. I also have the other cover copy. I think this is a UK version, which kind of has the back as the front, which is cool. I love this album though. This is such a great album. This kind of has the period of. I love the sequencing on here. It's amazing. I wish if there's any Tangerine Dream fans, I would love to know the differences. As 78, 79 kind of went on to maybe like 80, 81, 82, what the equipment that they're using versus, after that. Because this is right up my alley as far as their sound. Phenomenal. Another live album. Here's Logos Live. Part 1 and 2, and then Dominion are the tracks. Solid, not as good as Encore. Here's besides Aqua, this is a very highly regarded Edgar Froese solo album, Epsilon in Malaysia, Pale. Very strong album, very good sounding album. I think that is considered a classic. And then you have White Eagle. And here's the CD for White Eagle. This is when people kind of starting to wane on their sound a little bit. I still like the last couple through here in the Virgin years. This is like 82 or 83, I think. They're starting to do a little bit more tracks, kind of getting away from the 15, 20-minute tracks. If I was to see here, just for example, I was hoping to have the track. Somebody had the times of the tracks on these, but they may not. Yeah, so here's the second side. There's 3 tracks. One's 3 minutes, one's 4, and one's 9. White Eagle is a really strong track. Midnight in Midnight in Tulia. Is that what it's called? That one's really good as well. Again, people are kind of they're probably, you know, becoming a little bit I wouldn't say estranged of each other, but you know, they've done so many albums now, they're probably getting a little bit tired of each other, and you know, gonna break up soon and sort of kind of go their separate ways. Here's La Park. This one's got 9 tracks on it, probably the most to any Tangerine Dream album at that point. The longest track is 5 minutes, so they're kind of getting into the soundtracks by this time. Of course, they did Sorcerer back in '77, but now they're doing, you know, around this time they're about to do Legend, and they did Firestarter and Thief. Here's Thief with James Caan. I got 2 copies of that. Jerry Bruckheimer, early Jerry Bruckheimer. Excuse me. This is an underrated soundtrack, in my opinion. And then you have also Green Desert, which I really like. Astral Voyager on here. Really good track. This is one of the last Tangerine Dream albums I really like. They started getting the middle 80s, mid to late 80s and early 90s. I feel like they're kind of losing it a little bit. Getting away from the analog, you know, equipment that I felt like them made their sound. But this is a really good album. Green Desert, Astral Voyager, White Clouds, Indian Summer. I really like Green Desert. I think it's very underrated. A couple other random albums here. I got Poland. I just got this one recently, probably maybe 8 months ago or so. It was for $1. I'm always going to buy a Tangerine Dream album I don't have for $1. I listened to it the day I got it. This is 1984. It looks like, or 1984. Can't read the writing. Probably, yeah, 84. This is still, see, they looks like they changed to Reality Records and Zomba, so they're not on Virgin Records anymore. Klaus Schultz is left by here, if I'm not mistaken. You know, so no Klaus in here. So already in 84, the band's fractured. And this album suffers from it, I would imagine. Here's a kind of an odd one. Rainier Bloss Drive-In Volume 2. Has a nice Gumball Porsche on there, probably. I think that's a Gumball. This is from 86. Klaus Schultz. It's okay. Rainier Bloss and Klaus Schultz. It's okay. And then the last thing I have is I only have I have 3 of the 4 parts, but these are the Tangerine Dream Virgin Years box set. Unfortunately, I don't have disc 2 or disc 5 maybe, but these are all out of print. This is the original ones. Actually, I'm sorry, I do have disc 4 and disc. That's right, disc 4 and disc 5 was a double, so I just don't have disc 2. But these are kind of a compilation of the Virgin Years. You get a lot of bang for the buck on these. I kind of got this just to be able to listen to them in the car, you know, because most of my stuff is on vinyl with Tangerine Dream. Some of these are edits, unfortunately, but you know, I was trying to squeeze a lot into a reasonably sized box that was already 5 disc as it is. You can imagine if they how many C's they would fill up if they did all the Virgin Years. But cool artwork as well. I really like the bubbles. That's so early 80s and early 90s. There's a lot of rave CDs that kind of have bubbles like that. Like the Psychotrance series on Moonshine did that. Also kind of X-Mix kind of does those early 90s computer graphics. Very cool. I think this came out in 94. But yeah, that's kind of my Tangerine Dream collection right there. If I was to say top 3 albums, probably Exit, Phaedra, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it would be Tangram, Rubicon, Stratosphere. It's really tough. Top 3 is really tough. But yeah, just curious, what's your top 3 or top 5 Tangerine Dream albums? And what are your opinions on the new Tangerine Dream outfit. Like I think there's a Japanese girl in there, a couple of German guys. I know, what's his name is in there. Uh, I have a few solo things of him. Um, Ulrich Schnoz. So he's also in it as well. I don't think he's in there all the time, but he's been in a couple albums. But I'm curious if you guys can recommend me a Tangerine Dream album from the new outfit, which I think is like 2008 and newer. If you, I think they were here in concert last year here in DC. Maybe it was 2 years ago. But yeah, just seeing if you guys could recommend me a Tangerine Dream album that's 2008 and newer, and I'll check it out. All right, thanks so much for watching today's video on Tangerine Dream. Klaus Schultz and Edgar Froese, rest in peace to both of them. They recently passed the last couple of years. Just amazing legends. And so thanks a lot and have a good day.